Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching us from. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Dr. Mercy Mumba. I am an associate professor at the University of Alabama, and I'm also the director for the Center for Substance Use Research. And I'm so excited to host His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Zambia to the United States today. And our topic for today is Youth-Led Solutions to Global Problems, Finding Your Voice and Maintaining Relevance in a Dynamic World. His Excellency, thank you so much for being here. I would like for us to just tell our people who are watching on our live stream on Facebook Live to go ahead and tell us where you're watching from, what you do, and if you have any questions that you would like to request from the ambassador, put that in the chat and I will follow along with the chat. Our conversation today is very exciting. I met the ambassador a couple of months ago, and I'm just excited that he has made time to meet with us today. So, His Excellency, if you would please go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience, give us a little bit of a background on who you are, what your life story is, and how you found yourself as the ambassador of the Republic of Zambia to the United States.
Right, Dr. Mumbath, thank you very much for this opportunity to feature on this podcast, which I believe will be able to communicate to many people who, in their own right, are adding significant value to the country and to the globe at large. So I say thank you to you and to all those that are joining into this discussion. Like I said, my name is Chibamba. And yesterday apparently was my birthday, my 59th birthday yesterday.
Well, happy birthday, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are those who are born just after independence. Born 1965, just after independence. And
Yeah.
if there is any failure associated with independence of Zambia, we take responsibility because we were born shortly after, and we are responsible for whatever is happening, including young people whom I'm going to be talking to today. I come from Chikankata, Zambia, which is in Mazapoka district. That's where I was born, to a farmer. And I did my education in Chikankata and in Mongo at Mutuwambwa School. So later on, went to University of Zambia, where I did mass communications and economics. So people debate and say, where do you get your economics from? Apparently, I was the only student during my time who had an overload of courses. The only student, as far as I know, because I had to go through the Senate to be allowed to take more courses than I should have ordinarily done. So at the time,
Wow.
I should have graduated with 16 courses altogether for 4 years, but I graduated with 20 courses because I was taking 5 courses per year instead of 3.
Oh, wow.
Um,
That
so
is an overload.
I worked for the NBC initially and worked for
Mhm,
Zamcom, Zambia State Insurance Corporation. I worked for ZNBC again as Director
mhm,
General between 2012 and 2014 when I joined the International Monetary Fund here in Washington, D.C.
mhm,
And I went back to Zambia to start my business called Bridges Limited. And the president says,
mhm,
I want to send you back to Washington again. That's how I found
mhm.
myself as a facet at this time. So I've got a Master of Science from University of Reading as a university as a Chevening scholar, and this is on development MSc in development finance. I
Mhm.
am about to defend. Hopefully by Friday next week, I'll be defending my PhD.
No
uh,
way. We didn't
yes,
even know that.
I'm just waiting for a date to be communicated to me, but I've been alerted to be on the standby. So we're hoping that by 15th of February, I should have defended my PhD, which is focusing on governance I'm looking at the invisible hand that is affecting the independence of the boards in the public
Mm.
sector in Zambia. So that is what I've been working on.
I am I'm just absolutely inspired because for someone who's as busy as you are to still be pursuing education and managing all the work that you do, let's talk about that a little bit. How do you manage all of that and what message do you have for the youth who say, I don't have time to go back to school or I don't have the resources to go back to school? Because clearly you're juggling a lot and you're still finding time for education.
Absolutely. First thing on time, for some reason, I believe that there's a lot of time before us. It's
Yeah.
about how you package,
Mhm.
what you package in that time. That to me is what matters. So it's a
Mhm.
question of discussing what am I going to package in my 24 hours that I have, 24 hours per day. If you plan ahead, and that's the way I work, even my family, they know me for this, always plan ahead.
Mhm.
Always know what you're going to wear tomorrow.
Mhm.
So today is Sunday. I watch TV for 1 hour. I like watching CNN and others for an hour in the evening. And
Yeah.
then the family will see me going away to the bedroom to prepare
Mhm.
for tomorrow. So I have to know what tie I'm going to wear tomorrow, what shirt I'm going to wear tomorrow. And
Mhm.
I also make breakfast for the family. So
Wow.
I have to defreeze the food for tomorrow's breakfast today. So everything is
Mhm.
taken from the deep freezer and put aside. And I'm using that 45 minutes after washing to
Mhm.
prepare for tomorrow. So I wake up very early. By the time the rest of the family is waking up, they find breakfast is already done. That is
Mhm.
how we manage life. And I think for young people, the key to success in life is
Mhm.
always planning ahead. The
Mhm.
future should not take you by surprise. The future can either make you or you can make it, depending on how
Mhm.
you plan for it. So there's actually sufficient time for everybody available to do a million things in 24 hours, valuable things, including
Mhm.
leisure. But you have to
Mhm.
plan for your leisure to know what time do I watch soccer. Right now,
Right.
people are focused on AFCON, African Cup of Nations.
Absolutely. Oh my God, too
They have
many
to decide
heartbreaks.
what I'm gonna watch. You can't just watch everything. I know it comes once in a while, but you also have to say, I have to.
Mhm.
Life is not only about entertainment. There's
Yeah.
also creating value to yourself, what we call
Mhm.
personal development. And I think that was your
Yes.
question. That some of the young people say, I don't have the resources, I don't have the money. I was
Mhm.
talking to my own children, those who are still with me, two of them. The other two are now working,
Mhm.
but the other two are still, one had just finished her degree, and the other one is still at high school. And I was
Mhm.
talking to them, I say, resources are never a problem. And I know because
Yes.
wherever there is commitment, resources
Mhm.
get available.
I love that. Resources are never a problem. When there's commitment, you will always find the resources to support what you're envisioning. So with that, and with you talking about the future is not should not take you by surprise. This is exactly what you said. The future should not take you by surprise, and resources are never a problem for those who plan. I want us to shift our conversation to try to understand what are some of the global priorities that young professionals should be aware of in terms of the things that you're coming in contact with in your role as an ambassador. That way, people can understand what are global priorities moving forward and how can you position yourself to respond to the global priorities that we currently have.
Right now, that is what I call the actual global priority, and then there are
Mm-hmm.
that are very specific to every country. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Wherever they sit, somehow they still fit into the global priority. We know
Right.
that the global priority right now, there are many, but I'll emphasize
Mm-hmm.
on three. The first one is really just on global peace, peace and stability. Countries are all focused on how do we promote peace and stability, because without peace and stability, there is total confusion, the disruption in almost everything we do in terms of economic activity. People cannot easily relocate and fly and venture out and create wealth for themselves. There's an incredible disruption to the economic systems. So peace and stability. The other priority of the globe is climate change. And I think this is where much of the discussion is all about everywhere we go. Why has it become such a big issue? Climate change discussion started a long time ago. They got traction in the 1980s. But then everybody thought this was just a science problem. People who had nothing to do, people who felt they wanted to create some, to create a problem.
They wanted to create noise. That there was nothing on the agenda. I've heard
as a
those
way of raising
discussions.
money, sustain themselves. So I know there are those voices coming from Scandinavian countries and other developed countries and so forth. But this was really a science issue.
Yes.
Climate specialists, science issue. It has not yet drifted into economic issues, as an economic puzzle to be resolved. Because the moment it became a real problem, starting from the 1990s, when we started to see a change in the pattern of weather, just the weather itself, the rain, the whether it's winters, rain, just everything else began to change. And the ozone layer discussion now became a little bit more appreciated by almost everybody. No longer an academic issue, no longer a science issue. It became a fully government issue that government had to offer leadership.
Absolutely.
But the climate change issue has ignited something that I may say another priority, which is not among the three I want to highlight, but it's really a priority that has emerged as a result of climate change factor. And this is where the young people may want to hook in as well. And men of hooking in. It has to do with what they call clean energy innovation. Let me not use clean energy, but it's really about innovation that resolves problems of climate change. And this is where we are seeing a lot of innovative capabilities, whether in the realm of science or in the soft sciences, or aimed at resolving these problems, because we are now seeing a lot of things happening everywhere. Agriculture output has been affected. So now we are having issues like climate agriculture. I mean, smart agriculture.
Yes.
This is an innovation. We're having a youth in Malawi, two youths in Malawi who created power from water, something. Remember that windmill, the windmill factor from a Malawian young person who's now and patented by big nation. This came from a young person. This is what climate change has done. Young people see an opportunity and say, how do I become a solution? So they're responding. So the clean energy factor, another Malawian person I heard yesterday, he has invented a helicopter which uses solar energy.
I haven't heard that one. That's a new one.
Yes, I heard it from the ambassador of Malawi 2 days ago on Thursday. He's a Malawian person, created a helicopter. It flew, of course, for about 100 meters, but that's where it all starts
That's
from.
a good start. That's a good start, right? And then we can optimize from there and see what else we can do.
Yeah. So the third one I would say is artificial intelligence. And this is where young people have positioned themselves, and they have an advantage. Youth have an advantage on the emergency of artificial intelligence. We are seeing it on average as a disruptive technology, but it's a huge opportunity for young people who want to leverage it, because to affect a lot in terms of how wealth is created. So there'll be a shift nor in terms of how labor and human resources are employed in companies.
Mm-hmm.
And young people have a chance now to create products into the marketplace that may never have existed before. And to me, these are the three things that define the global priorities. So it really has to do with geopolitics and stability, has to do
Mm-hmm.
with climate change issues and artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. I love that you bring that up. And, there's so much going on in the world right now. And a lot of the times, as youth and young people, we just want to recognize that there are problems or there are issues that are coming up in the world that we're living in. But that's where we're ending. We're not thinking about how do I look at this problem? How do I look at this challenge? And how do I look at this issue as an actual opportunity for me to respond with innovative interventions, with innovative solutions. So talk a little bit about how do youth begin to change their mindset to start understanding that when there's global challenges, there's actually opportunities for them to respond to these challenges, and what's that mindset look like, and what are some of the resources that maybe they can delve into to allow them to become solution providers?
First of all, have to define what leverages do youth have? What advantages
Mm-hmm.
do young people have? Uh,
Yes.
Many Zambians who are watching this know that in 2008, I created something
Mm-hmm.
called Creating the Future
Mm-hmm.
conferences, which were held every year, and
Yes.
now called under Teen Vision Trust, which is a trust now, Teen Vision.
Mm-hmm.
And what was at the back of my mind um, is because I personally believe in the principle that if you cannot become what you have
Mm-hmm.
dreamed of becoming, you have not failed. You can always become what you wanted to become through your children or through your grandchildren.
Oh, I love that. I really love that.
That the philosopher created, which really has helped me to understand this, so that
Yes.
I'm able to invest a lot of time and energy into young
Mm-hmm.
people, so that
Mm-hmm.
at my age now, I'm 10, 59, a lot of things I will definitely not achieve. But I will
Mm-hmm.
invest in the young people so that whatever I fail to achieve, they can achieve. Why? Is because young people still have time. That's number one. They
Yes.
still have a lot of time to make mistakes and correct them. They have a
Mm.
lot of time to experience life and learn from it. Young
Mm.
people have no social, I may say, socio-economic commitments that tie them from venturing out, trying new things.
Right.
The, the older you get, the more
Mm-hmm.
risk averse you become. Why? Is because
Yeah.
if I were to die right now at my age, a lot of
Mm.
people would die. Okay,
Yes.
because the level of dependency on my life is very heavy, starting with my
Mm.
own immediate family that will now be
Yes.
deprived of certain things. And then there's the extended family who depend on me. So you find that because you are aware of the level of dependence on you and that don't have much time ahead of you, your capacity to find new things that can change not only your own life, but
Mm-hmm.
things that can change the well-being of your community, your country, and the globe, you don't do them anymore. You don't want to try.
Mm.
Because if you lose one penny, you don't have chance to recover it. Time is gone.
Right.
But young people have time. Young people,
Mm-hmm.
therefore, can make risks. Because if a
Mm-hmm.
young person is trying to venture out into manufacturing a helicopter, it's a young person
Mm-hmm.
doing a helicopter from solar and is flying, and he
Mm-hmm.
crashes and dies. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, the mother and the father will cry and have lost a child, but
Mm-hmm.
there is not many who are dependent on that person. Okay,
Exactly.
and that's why
Mm-hmm.
you find in our own culture in Africa, and when you look at where you have been for many years,
Mm-hmm.
2 decades in the USA, you find the ability to make risk here is higher than we do have. Why? It's because here people are independent. The systems
Exactly.
live without you. They
They
depend on you.
absolutely do. And it's such a huge difference that you
Yeah,
have to really think about. The systems are so well put together that it's not dependent on individuals.
yeah,
So whether or not you do your job or whether or not you innovate, the next person is going to do something. So
yeah.
then there's that motivation to actually do something because you're not the only person thinking about this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And the bigger thing also is to realize that we live in a world where the resources to be creative, innovative, and even change your own ability are
Mm-hmm.
wider than we had in our time.
Yes.
I was telling my my children who is at high school, I had to write to the principal the other day that I want to meet them. Because my
Mm-hmm.
son said, don't like one of the teachers. Okay. Says, I don't like one of the teachers. And I said, but you should still do the work and the homework and whatever. I said, no, I don't like that. The other part of the algebra, I don't like the teacher. So I would rather leave that school and go elsewhere. I don't like the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, you have a huge chance today. As we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a chance, if you don't like the teacher, you just have to sit. There's nowhere else. Yes, if you don't like it, you can still sit there, and after class, you can go on the internet, Google on YouTube for the topic on the algebra, and teach
Exactly.
yourself. There's a there's a wealth of resources available today for personal
Mm-hmm.
development for the young people. A lot of
Yes.
information is available to to help you change the way you look at the world. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's your global viewpoint that determines how you respond to issues. You know,
Yes.
and one of the things I was sharing with him is that you, at times, you cannot change the teacher, you cannot change the environment, but you can
Mm-hmm.
change you.
Exactly.
And this is the mindset thing we are talking about. You may not
Mm-hmm.
change much of the environment, you may not change
Yes.
much of your country, but you can
Mm-hmm.
change you so that you adapt and respond productively to the challenges around you. At times, we just have to adapt by being creative and innovative. And at
Mm-hmm.
times, we have to adapt. At times, we have to change the environment ourselves
Yes.
where we can. But it's harder to simply be a recipient of what the environment dictates to you.
Mm.
So that's why it's important that with the availability of resources today, podcasts
Mm-hmm.
like this, these were not available during our time. Today, people can
Absolutely.
listen. Are you charging money for this?
No, I'm
You see,
not.
it's
This
free.
is a free resource to everyone who can access it because I'm just passionate about helping the next person.
You see, but why should people not benefit from this and change their own lives? So for the
Mm-hmm.
young people, you have a billion worth platform of resources.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the literature we could not afford to get from the library because they are too far from us. Today they're available just on the computer.
Exactly.
And if you look at how much work I did, of course, from my research, I had to do part of it, interviewing people, but
Mm-hmm.
much of the literature review was done on this laptop on which I was doing this podcast. On this laptop.
Absolutely.
And
Mm-hmm.
times some of the literature you pay for it, at times some of it is free. You find it on Google Scholar, plenty of it, and you can. So why should we not be able to change and be winners, being
Mm-hmm.
creative, changing the way our minds are set, given the
Yes.
abundance of resources before us?
Absolutely. And you bring up several important topics, and I'm a note taker because when I write things, I always remember things. And some of the things that you have touched on, addressing the fear of failure, building systems personally, having a global viewpoint and adapting to the environment. I want us to just delve into those pieces just a little bit more because my dad used to say failure is how you discover what doesn't work. But
Yeah,
a lot of people are so scared to fail. And in especially in the Zambian context, we even call it PhD, pulling down syndrome. That is such a big issue that people are always afraid to try because they're afraid of ridicule, they're
Yeah.
afraid of being laughed at, they're afraid um, that they will fail. What is your message to that person who has great ideas, but they're just so scared of even trying because they don't even know if they'll succeed? I think the message really is that none of us know that we will succeed if we don't try. But what is your encouragement to that young person who has brilliant ideas, has innovative ideas, but is just scared that the next person will laugh or anything like that if they're not successful at what they embark on?
Um, the first principle in life is to have self-confidence. To me,
Mm-hmm.
self-confidence, self-belief.
Mm-hmm.
Self-confidence, self-belief simply means that you have assessed yourself, your capacities, your capabilities, and that I'll go as far as I can. And
Mm-hmm.
when I don't, I'll learn something from it.
Right.
There is something that I share to entrepreneurs. I've shared it all over in Zambia,
Mm-hmm.
that if you fail, don't do something else unless the situation demands so.
Mm.
Do the same thing. Failure is not what defines you.
Mm-hmm.
What defines a potentially successful person, what defines us is what we learn from failure.
Mm.
So I've seen many people who start a business, and a
Mm.
lot of people have started many businesses.
Yes.
After 1 2 years, they abandon it. They come to you
Mm-hmm.
and say, look, I've stopped that business. I was doing chickens. I've now stopped. I'm going to do God. I've stopped again. I ran a small shop. It failed. I've
Yeah.
come back again. So, Mr. Kanyama, what business should I do? I said,
Mm-hmm.
go back to one of the businesses in which you failed. They said, but I failed. I said, no, no, no. It's not the failure.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the failure. It is what you learned from failure. If you check this phone here to me has become a huge tool the past 13 years. I'll say
Mm-hmm.
from 2010, this phone, of course, I've changed it now, but there's what is called notebook in there, the
Mm-hmm.
notebook where you write notes.
Yes.
It's full. For me, to me, that is why when they say iCloud, that is the only thing I'm interested, not the contacts, but that I don't want to lose, don't want to lose what is on them in this notebook. I don't want to lose
Mm-hmm.
things because
Yes.
that is where I document a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things that have worked well, but more importantly, what did not work well and what should I do
Mm.
about it. Learning from failure.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, critics, those who laugh at you, should become the source of your motivation. And one thing
Absolutely.
I'm personally proud of, personally,
Mm-hmm.
if you ask me what, let's assume I've succeeded, okay?
Yes.
And you ask Chibamba right now, ask me, what has made you what you are? I will tell
Mm-hmm.
you that it's because of the critics.
Mm.
The
That's so true because sometimes, people don't just believe in you. And I've experienced that too, where, I've embarked on something and people are like, Mercy, like, what are you thinking? That's
yeah,
like unachievable. And I've even heard things like for people like you
yeah,
or people who look like you. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna show you that we can
yeah,
actually
yeah,
do this. So
yeah,
that like fuels you extra.
perfect. In fact, I almost dropped out of the PhD after 1 year because it was too demanding to me. But I
Hmm.
said I made one mistake.
Yes.
One mistake I made when I started the PhD program in 2020. I announced it on I announced it
So
on
now you are accountable.
so now I was answerable to so many people. And I know there are some who will be saying, you want to manage this guy. So now I said, I want to drop. I told my wife one time, I said, I want to drop this thing. Really
Yeah.
demanding. I'm it's affecting me mentally, resource-wise. And then I say, but there's so many people. Can you imagine when I drop this out of people now be putting screenshots, Look at this guy. So the fear of being shamed by critics can be a motivation. And some of us are where we are today because there are all those people you feel will laugh at you if you don't succeed. So that when you fail, you don't give them a chance.
Yes.
But the most important thing is it's not about them. It's
Exactly.
about you and what you want to achieve. And I prompt young people the most important thing is always have a goal, short-term goal, medium-term goal, and long-term goal. At times
Absolutely.
things may not work out that way, but at least you've been able to know what you failed to achieve. You'll be able to say, this is what I dreamt of becoming. I haven't become that because of ABCD. You cannot just shoot into the wind and expect to evaluate yourself sufficiently. Always aim at something, have a goal, and then that will prompt you, to motivate you about who you want to be close to you, your associates, the resources that you want to read. Where I am here is full of books, and if you look at the kind of books that are here, 90% of them are almost in the same area. Because they define what I want to become.
Exactly. Absolutely. So talking about defining what you want to become, another thing that I see a lot with young people is they fail to build systems personally that allow them to be successful. I think it's very easy in organizations to say this is the organizational structure, this is the strategic plan, this is our vision, this is our goals. But when we come to an individual level and talking about how young people can position themselves to respond to the global priorities that we were talking about, I think one of the things that is lacking is that strategic planning in how you actually actualize your goals. Do you have any insights as to how young people can build these systems internally, personally? You gave an example of once you finish watching the news, you give yourself about 45 minutes every night to get ready for the next morning and so on and so forth. What other strategies can young people utilize to build these systems that allow them to be successful and respond to the global priorities?
Thank you. My second book, which is Achievement Values for Our Time, unfortunately, it's it's so much on demand, but it's sold out. Achievement Values for Young Adults, I really take to the young people what systems they should adopt to be where they are. And I begin by urging them the system begins by defining what you really want to become. That's the point I was raising earlier. What is your overall goal in life?
Yes.
It may not really be something like very big, well, people think I want to be president, I want to be the wealthiest person in the world. It can simply be, I want to end well by having my children, whoever I will have later in life, educated.
Yes.
So I personally, as a kid, as a young person, knew that I one day have a family. And I looked at my own environment from a divorced family. I even wrote a book when I was in grade 11. It wasn't published. It was Advanced Challenge, defining my own personal system that I know I have come from a very difficult background, but I'll shape out a future. I'll shape out a future for myself so that whoever will be born out of me will not go to school without shoes. So the system begins by defining what you want to be. And to me, education, getting the most out of education was my goal. Get the most of education so that I can be positioned well in society and my family will never struggle. So I'm a kid, not yet married, but having a focus that my children who will ever be born out of me will never suffer again. I see on Facebook today people posting and sharing what I shared many years ago.
Yes.
That in every family there's always a Joseph. And I'm seeing it now, people are replicating everywhere. But I said, every family always has a Joseph, somebody who stands up. I said, I will be that one. That was that. Number two, develop a philosophy. How will I play the game? What values will define what I want to do? And this is very important to young people. What values will I adopt to anchor myself where I will be? I personally had values when I was too young. Some of them funny, but I said, I will never touch a woman until the time is right. No, this is a personal value. Okay.
Right.
One is because it's a distraction. You make a girl pregnant at school, suddenly there's somebody who comes in you are not responsible for.
Right.
In terms of not responsible for, you are responsible for, but not able to manage.
Not able to manage the responsibility.
Care of, and now there's another additional person being born out of what you have done, and that becomes a huge distraction in your life. So you adopt those personal values, what you do and what you do. I define the kind of friends I want to have. That's why I find all friends I had, no one was alcoholic or did something, whatever. It was a value system. Each one of us can adopt what kind of values they are. But the most important thing for me, because I know that to anchor into this world sufficiently successfully, you have to have integrity.
I love that.
Very good reputation about it. No, once you lose your reputation, you have lost all your chances and opportunities around you.
That is so true.
That's what you have to protect and defend. And people know you not for what you say, but what you stand for.
Absolutely.
And your reputation will open doors for you. So I would say to young people, if you want to anchor well into this world, so sophisticated and very demanding, challenging, highly, highly competitive, yes, do well in whatever you're doing in terms of academics, you can excel in whatever you want to do, but have integrity. Another thing that I shared with my daughter that some of the young people may not know, finished university, and she's about to apply for a master's, and I said, look, why don't you get a certification in the same area? Certification is lower than a master's.
Right.
Why certification is because unless you want to be an academic like Dr. Mumba, most companies you want to work for, or even your own business, they don't employ a degree.
Exactly.
They employ a skill. The degree helps you to understand the global world, how you position yourself and how you understand things around you. But the skill is what gets you the job. Because now you've got something that you can immediately do. That's why even when you get a job like a degree holder, they first take you through this process of reskilling you now, training you to be that kind of person they want.
Absolutely.
So young people must not be proud that they have a degree, they have what? Get a skill. You can have a PhD, but if you want to, to take hold of this globally competitive world, have some specific skill. PhD in engineering, but there's nothing that stops you from getting a skill as a plumber, something hands-on, something that you can easily do and apply. And your PhD lands very, very well.
Absolutely. I love what you just said. You're not employed because of your degree. You're employed because of the skills that you bring to the table. And that skilling is so important. And I think that that's a message that I really also love to drive home with young people and young professionals, is that you should not just be comfortable with having a degree, but you should be able to build a niche that has a specific skill set and expertise that you bring to the world, that if somebody wants to think of XYZ, you should be the person that comes to mind when they're thinking about that particular thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So talking about the other thing that you mentioned, creating a global viewpoint. sometimes, and a lot of my audience is Africa, and sometimes we have a way of defining our environment and limiting it to just Africa, but there's so many things we can do outside of the African continent. And even if you're in the US or another part of the world, there's so much that you can do with your skills and expertise outside of your immediate environment. Talk to us about building that global viewpoint, and how do you go about doing that to where you understand how you can be relevant outside of your immediate environment?
First thing is, don't narrow your world too
Yeah.
quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I remember speaking at Kenso University. There was
Yes.
a conference there, and I said to young people, do not narrow your world too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Don't define your worldview as just you and that thing of your own interest. That me, I
Mm-hmm.
just want to be a tailor or hairdresser too quickly.
Yeah.
Learn the world systems.
Mm-hmm.
So people who I talked about degree earlier, this is why now it comes
Yes.
to get a degree. Get it,
Yes.
it opens your mind.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you to see the world perspectives from a different angle altogether. It helps in a very, very, very big way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just allow me, just give me a second. Somebody's cleaning the house somewhere, so I need
That's
to.
okay.
It's okay. You can. It's not disturbing, because I
No,
can hear the sound. Um, uh,
we're actually not able to
am I
hear the
getting it?
sound. No.
Yeah, yeah. So the global view is shaped by many facets, many issues.
Mm-hmm.
Young people get it. One, if you can get education, get it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a
Yes.
chance to study, and there's nothing like too late with these open platforms now to educate yourself and learn,
Mm-hmm.
get education.
Mm-hmm.
To interact as much as you can, participate in workshops like
Mm-hmm.
this. There's a saying I have: there is no information that is useless.
Yes.
You may not need it today. This podcast may not be relevant to someone today, but there'll come a time to
Mm-hmm.
say, I remember Dr. Mumba had a podcast where I featured so and so, and I really need that information, but how can I get
Yes.
it? Because I missed a chance.
Mm.
So it's important um, that we um, we expose ourselves to as many platforms possible. It helps you
Mm-hmm.
understand the global view. I talked to one professor here in Zambian who is based here recently
Mm-hmm.
on one concern I've had. A lot of Zambians are applying for partnerships, business partnerships. These are young people
Mm-hmm.
who want to participate in business partnerships with US companies and so forth. And when you look at
Yes.
the kind of proposal they send, you see
Mm-hmm.
a huge misalignment. They don't understand the, the culture.
Yeah.
They don't understand the demands of this environment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you write your proposal.
Right.
We either open a door or close it for you. So you have
That's
to understand what are the demands of the global world.
mm-hmm.
What is the lead time on execution?
Yes.
When I first joined the IMF, I remember the first work we did, we shared in management. The question was, Mr. Kanyama, when do we have this report on? It was just after the spring meetings. When do we have this report with your team? When are they going to do it? I said, oh yeah, within 3 weeks. Three. What did you say? I said 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
There's no 3 weeks.
It changed because in my own country, 3 weeks is okay. Things are
Exactly.
okay. Whether it's government systems,
Yeah.
business, you can promise somebody and give 3 weeks every time.
Yeah.
They said, we thought you were going to say 3 days. They really insisted it must be. They said after 3 days, nobody will be thinking about your project. People have moved on.
No,
Well, the shelf
exactly.
life of ideas is very short. So
Mm.
if you are slow, somebody will eat your lunch. So
Exactly.
um, in this world is highly competitive, and young people must understand what are the ethical requirements, performance
Mm-hmm.
requirements. How do I network with this new person out there? Let me say
Mm-hmm.
something a little bit sensitive here, but it will help a lot of young people.
Yes, sir.
And this is for the Zambian audience or African audience.
Mm-hmm.
I know many young people hate imperialism. They
Mm-hmm.
hate the people from this other culture. I see it on
Mm-hmm.
social
Yes.
media, a lot of them. I know there are issues around there. I won't delve into that. But you
Mm-hmm.
know what? You can, like Liverpool supporters say, you can never walk alone. You can never succeed without
Mm-hmm.
developing sophisticated, highly positioned networks
That's
across.
true. Mm-hmm.
You cannot despise the some people you want to network with.
Yes.
For me, it's not about seeing them as exploitative. It's a
Mm-hmm.
question of what can I learn from
Yes.
and how do I network with
Mm.
them. I do remember I was doing Harvard University program at
Mm-hmm.
Witwatersrand, which is a part of the University of Cape Town, 1998.
Yes.
1998.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very wealthy program where I benefited a lot. Now, most of it was a 3 week, very intensive program, Harvard University program. So 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most of the resource persons were Caucasians.
Yes.
And there was a South African friend who was with me in that particular group. There are three South Africans, and they would all, whenever there was a Caucasian from South Africa, they would all walk
Mm-hmm.
out. Whenever the Caucasian from
Oh.
South Africa, they would all walk out. So on
Mm.
after 1 week, I asked one of them, I said, but why do you always walk out whenever there's some facilitators, some trainers who come? I said, no, these are the people who were part of apartheid. They are the ones who
Mm.
exploited us, and I don't want to sit under them. That's
Mm.
why we walk out. And I said, my brother, if ever you have to win against,
Yes.
learn how they do it. You can
Learn
never
their
compete with a
systems,
God with
learn.
them.
You
They
have
are
to learn how they work.
in this program, they are revealing to you what made them be ahead of you. And
Mm.
you have an opportunity to learn their secrets, to open
Yes.
your own mind and say, how do I network with them? And that's the
Mm-hmm.
way you win in this global world. In other words,
Yes.
change your perceptions. Even if they're
Yes.
exploitative, whatever they are, your position will be, I want to learn from them on why they are there where I am not. Because within the next 10
Mm.
years, I want to be where they are and I want to be their boss.
Yes. Mm.
That's being strategic. And young people should really think through this. Change your
Yes.
perception, change the way you see other people, not only the Caucasians, for the
Mm-hmm.
Zambians. I want to say to you who are watching here, change your perceptions about how you see another tribe. Because some of
Yes.
us grew up in an environment, and I'm still in that environment where I see a fellow Zambian, I don't see tribe. Yes, I know I'm Tonga, but my friends from all over. We are leveraging those strengths that we have
Mm-hmm.
across. Those
Yes.
perceptions where you are so negative about others will not take shape.
Mm-hmm.
Change that, and then you find yourself well positioned.
Amazing, amazing discussion. Oh my God. I'm learning so much myself. Like I said, I'm a note taker. I'm like taking notes and just like relishing all the great wisdom that you're sharing with us today. And so with that, another thing that you touched on is adaptability. And I think this is what I want us to focus on as we begin to wind down our conversation. How do you become adaptable? Because I believe that in terms of maintaining relevance in a dynamic world, which is the other part of our discussion here today, you have to be adaptable. So, how do young people and young professionals find their voice in this ever changing world and still maintain their relevance while maintaining the integrity that you touched on in just a few minutes ago? Because that combination is so important, because sometimes maintaining relevance can compromise values, as you discussed earlier, and integrity. So how do you find this sweet spot of balancing integrity, your values, but still remaining relevant in a very dynamic world?
Here's the secret that I discovered some time ago, and I use it everywhere, and I continue to use it. And the secret is always have something to bring to the table. However,
Yes.
bring something. It's like visiting somebody's home and you say, look, there are very rich people there. What can I take to them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was doing my credentials, President Biden, I said, but he's a president of the USA. He could every, but can I take a gift? But what is it that cannot have? Should I even take a gift? You know
Yeah.
what? Never assume
Mm-hmm.
they have it. That very small
Exactly.
thing that you can manage to bring to the table, take it to
Mm-hmm.
the table. To me, that is adaptability. Adaptability is able to see the environment and say, what is it that I can take to this environment?
Mm-hmm.
However small,
Yes.
young people should appreciate this, that there is there's demand for everything of value, however small.
Mm-hmm.
There's demand for everything of value. I
I
remember
like
saying
that.
this to somebody and said, what do you mean by that? I gave him a story which happened in 2006, a true story. It was in the Zambia Daily Mail, Sunday Mail, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember that story. Some of you may remember, who were older than a person in Germany advertised, internet was too new then,
Yeah.
2006, advertised on the internet, I'm looking for a human being to eat.
What?
On the internet, I'm looking for a human being to eat.
Oh my God.
Now you are responding like that because it's unimaginable. How? How can somebody even respond to an advert like that to be eaten? You know what happened? Somebody responded and even traveled to Germany and was slaughtered, put in the fridge.
No.
That's how the police went, arrested the person. They found they had eaten some parts of him. They tested his mind, found he was actually normal. It is a true story in the newspapers.
Oh my
And my
goodness.
point is, if somebody can respond to an advert to be eaten, what more about that good thing that you have? Something that is legal,
Wow.
ethic,
Yes.
however
Yes.
small, it's acceptable,
Yes.
it's a valuable thing, it is
Mm-hmm.
small. The market will always buy what you have in this global village. There is somebody
Yes.
who wants to take you to their table.
Mm.
Whether you are from Zambia or wherever you're coming from, there is
Yes.
demand for everything. That's why our embassy and our work right now as embassy is to open
Mm-hmm.
up, to reduce the expectations of the American society on this level of standard
Mm-hmm.
of products that Zambians can export here.
Yes.
To enable our young people send Monkoyo roots. So
Mm.
there's somebody in America, not only Zambia, in the diaspora. I can assure you there are
Right.
people who enjoy Monkoyo roots. As long as you can label it nicely, these are Monkoyo, this
Mm.
Monkoyo from Lower Zambezi, where the black elephants like grazing from. It's good for your therapeutic whatever.
Exactly.
Some,
Branded.
somebody will get. So to adapt to this world, don't be idle. There is no
Mm-hmm.
idle moment. Never allow idle moments. Plan for
Mm-hmm.
everything. Have a system how you want to deliver. Everything you can give, somebody will want it. So long it's legal, it's acceptable,
Mm-hmm.
morally acceptable, and somebody will buy it. Bring something to the table. Never go empty-handed. You have a skill. If you don't have something, build yourself. Participate in
Mm-hmm.
workshops like this. Read
Yes.
books. No, engage with others on workshops. Learn something. Can I
Mm.
conclude on one point here? The issue right
Absolutely.
now is on critical minerals.
Mm.
And the whole USA government is putting a railway line from
Mm.
Congo DR to Angola to tap
Mm.
into our critical minerals.
Yeah.
The challenge I have is this. Not many young Zambian people understand what a critical mineral is and what it can do.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of learning what a critical mineral is, what it does. We are all just there complaining. These people are looting our country. They're looting.
Yeah.
Why can't you invest the time to understand the critical mineral and who wants it and in what form?
Yes.
That is bringing something to the table.
I
It's
love that.
within our own backyard. Invest your energy. If you have got time to learn, go on internet, understand these critical minerals. What are they? How do they look? What is their value? Who buys them? How do you supply to those things? Invest your time and learn. You are still young. Don't be lazy. You are still young to understand and learn these things. That is what makes the difference between the people in developed countries and us. They
Yeah.
take things seriously. And I would like, there's nothing that stops us from taking things seriously. Don't just complain
Absolutely.
there and drinking chibuku. You get to understand what this critical mineral is, because that is the future. Because
Yes.
the clean energy is all dependent on critical minerals, which Zambia has in abundance. And there's no way we can be poor when we have got people like you, young people, who've got an abundance of time ahead of you. Take the risk, and you can win.
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful discussion. I know we're coming up at the top of the hour. I just want to give you an opportunity, if there's anything that we haven't touched on that you really want to convey to our audiences today, please go ahead and do that, because I know you have a wealth of information, a wealth of wisdom to share with us. There's no way to address everything within an hour. But if there's something that's just burning that you would like to share with our audiences, I would ask you to take this opportunity and do that.
Just to say, let us spend our time wisely, planning what we take in. This world has a lot of distractions. It has opportunities, plenty of opportunities.
Yes.
But within this world, we find the world itself is a huge resource that can
Yes.
change who we are and what we become tomorrow. So I
Absolutely.
would urge young people that, yes, social media is a big, wonderful platform. Let us use it wisely. If you don't, one day you regret that you wasted 10 years. And once you lose it, you have lost the time.
You've lost it.
I'm
Absolutely.
59 now. I turned 59 years. This is my 59th birthday.
Happy birthday again.
And how to start my life again. I would definitely manage my time better and be able to know where should I spend most of my time. Not that you are out of your entertainment, whatever. Life is a balance. But you cannot
Yes.
say, I'll just dance all day long. There will come time to eat. Who will feed you?
Yes.
It's a big opportunity for young people. And I'm very positive, having known and interacted with many Zambian young people in particular, that we're destined for good things so long we remain positive, disciplined, and focused. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So as we wind down, I know time management is a big thing for you. Last three big pieces of advice.
Number one, have a value system and respect it first. But
Yes.
value side for me is, if you don't know God, God plays a role in people's lives. I
Yes.
know others don't see him that way, but that is how some of us are shaped to have these value systems.
Yes.
Number two, have a vision, have a goal. It may be small, it doesn't have to be that very big, but focus
Yes.
and aim to achieve it. And number three, develop profitable networks and value those networks. When you get a business card, it may not be useful that moment, but
Yes.
it will be useful tomorrow.
Yes.
Those networks are your leverage point for the future. So value the networks. God introduces to you at kitchen parties, at weddings, at meetings, anywhere you find them. Value them. One day you need them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am absolutely incredibly honored that you created time for us today. And just summarizing your 3 takeaway points: value system and integrity, have a vision and focus on it is number 2. And number 3, develop profitable networks and value those networks and leverage them whenever possible. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and happy birthday again. And to everyone who joined us, thank you for joining us. We'll see you on our next edition of our Fireside Chat next month on February 24th. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. God bless. Good. Bye.